Hello, I'm Tammy with DebbyTammy Creations, and today we're going to be wrapping a round cabochon. So what you will need is 20 gauge square wire, 24 gauge half round wire, some 28 or 26 gauge round wire, some different size copper beads. These are 3 or 4 millimeters. And then your tools, flush cutters. These are tweezer nose straight pliers. These are nylon pliers, which are not absolutely necessary, but I like to use those. And round nose pliers. So to begin, I start with 4 pieces of square 20 gauge dead soft copper wire, and these are each 14 inches long, but that's just because my cabochon is pretty large. I would say 30 by 30, 30 millimeters around, or 1.25 inches. And then I put those nicely together, and I take my half round wire, making sure that the half side is up and not the rounded side. So I put it underneath with the flat side up, and I begin to wrap, trying to keep these 4 nice and tight together. So I start wrapping and keeping the flat side down toward those wires, and then as I go, I squeeze them together. This is one place where I like to use these nylon jaw pliers. Squeeze those down and closer to each other, and it doesn't mar the half round that way. And I do this, I don't know, 8 to 10 times. It kind of depends on the size of your cabochon. And then when I get as many as I need, I go ahead and I squeeze them together again, make sure they're nice and neat, and then I pull up the 2 ends on top and cut right about in the middle of each one and squish them down with my nylon jaw pliers. So that part will be on the inside, and the outside will be nice and neat. From there, I take my cabochon and I put it on top of the part where I cut those 2 ends, and I begin to pull this wire up and around on either side. Now, if you have something round that is about the same size, you can use it to create your circle, but or you can put it down on the table, and that might be a little bit easier, but I've just gotten used to doing it while it's in the air. And then also, if you need to straighten that out so that on the back, this part is really facing the stone and not just flat. So I need to pull this out just a little bit. All right. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do, just to make it less wobbly, is I'm going to turn it to the back, and I'm going to bend out the backmost wire. I'm going to pull it in a bit on each side, like this. That's not the most inmost wires. Let me find it. There we go. Go in there and pull it in. So that's going to be the back. And then you can flip it around, put your cabochon so that it sits on that. So that will be the back. And that makes it a little bit easier to hold. Now, what you want to do is pull these sides up so that they cross right on the top, like this, right above where your flat wire is. And at that point, you're going to want to bend them so they're pointing straight up like this. Okay. And sometimes you have to finagle it to adjust it and make it just right. What I like to do then is just making sure that all the wires are stacked the right way. They're not on top of each other. I like to take either one of the back wires or one of the front. It's sometimes easier just to take one of the front wires and holding with your hand, bring one of these front wires over and around behind, making sure that all of these stay stacked on top of each other properly. And then flip it, pull it over on the other side, like that. I want to make sure that I still have some wire right on the edge there, so that when you flip it over, you still see most of the back and the front. From here, I like to turn it over and find the back wires. So I'm going to find these two back ones and one more. So I have three. Then the others, I'm going to move over two over onto this side and two over onto this side, just to get them out of the way. Now with these three, I'm going to curve them to make the bail. And if you have something round you can put behind there, that is sometimes helpful. And just pull these around it like that, and then pull them close together in the back. You can do it without this though if you don't have, I mean, you can just use a pencil or something. Let me get this out of here. And then I'm going to use my pliers just to pull this a little bit forward and push the back together so that you have close that gap a little bit. All right, so now we've got these three. Let me spread them out. These three on top like that to make the bail. And in the back it looks like this. What I like to do then is this wire that I was using to go around, I bring it around one more time to capture all of those, and then I can cut it off with my flush cutters and tuck it in somewhere in between the bail, but down low so that it doesn't scratch anything. So you have to push it in there and down a little bit just to hide it. If it sticks out a bit, it's okay, because the next steps are going to just cover up that whole area anyway. So the next step, let me just show you. This is an example of one I'm trying to sort of copy. I didn't get this in there, so we'll not worry about that. But we've got these three on top, and now we're going to start making these swirls that come around. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this bottommost one on the right, and we're going to bend it. We're going to curve it up and around and just push this around to the back. The next one, we're going to twist. So just hold on to it with your pliers and start twisting the whole piece. Or if you have one of these little devices, let me just finish twisting it this way though. If you have one of these pin vices, you can use it. And I can show you how to do that in another video. But if it's already attached here and you don't have to worry about holding one end of it, it's easy just to grab a hold of it like this and twist your piece. Now from there, we're going to curve this around and try and make it match that same curve there. This one though is going to come down the front, and we're going to make a little curl with it. So holding on here, you pull the bottom up and around to make a little curl. And then we're going to bring it back through here and we'll make one more little curl. I'm going to go ahead and cut this here and use my round nose pliers to curl that inward. Actually, I think it's a little long, so I'm going to make it shorter. And curl it in back on itself. Okay. There we go. And we will get this so that it's snug in a minute. The next step though is to take the next one, which is the next one in line to come around. We're going to bring it around and we're going to bend it the other direction. So it's going to go off to this side and around the back, just like that. It kind of reminds me of a little ponytail. All right, from here, we're gonna take this last one and we're gonna bring it around. We're gonna take it back a bit and then forward. And we're gonna bring it around a few times to make some more curls coming in this direction. And of course, you know, this is all however you want to do it, and doesn't have to be exactly the way I'm doing mine, but I want these to kind of lay flat too, like that. And then in the back, I need to tuck some of these in. So I'm gonna start by, let me do, just cut these shorter. And this one, I'm gonna cut there. And these three, so I actually made my wire about 2 inches too long. So maybe you could do 12 inches instead of 14 like I did. And then I'm going to tuck this inside here where you can't see it. Okay, and tuck these two in. I think they're just a little bit long. We don't want them to peek through the other side in the front. So I'm going to push these in here. Like that. Come on. try and close it down a bit. If I can get behind this one. Close it down. There we go. And then this one I'm going to bring inside there too. And squeeze it down too. So from the front, they don't peek out. Well, there's one kind of peeking out, so I'm going to just go in there and kind of try and trim that piece. There we go. Okay, so now in the back, I've still got these 3 that are coming down from the bail, and I'm just going to separate them out like this. Well, try and get them separated. There we go. And then I'm just going to curl each one into a little swirl just to get them kind of out of the way. Because you won't see these from the front like that. And then this one I'm going to curl the other direction and like that. And if it's a little too long, you can snip it, curl it in a little bit more snug. There we go. But don't want to make anything stick out that will hurt the skin, so making sure those are nice and flat. And there we go. Now, I'm going to take another piece of my half round wire, and this one can get a little bit tricky. I have this, I don't know where this came from, but you could use a needle or just something that is small enough. You could even use your pliers if you had to squeeze underneath this first wire, because we want to slide this with the flat side up inside that first little, that bottom little curl. And getting that first one in there is a little bit tricky. Sometimes I have to turn it so that this is more up like that, so I can get it inside there. Well, sorry about that. Get it inside there. Why is it going in? Okay, let's try this one more time. It's hard to do this and with my camera and trying to stay on camera, and my goodness, that is just not wanting to work. So I'm gonna do it the opposite direction. I'm gonna come in from inside there with this turned up. There we go. And then I'm going to pull this down. And I'm going to come up and around again, trying to keep that flat side down. And there we go. Pull it through between those, that first and second wire. Use your tweezers to help, just making sure it stays inside the little loop. And if you make that loop a little bigger, it's also easier. I don't know, I didn't make it really very big. And then I'm gonna cut the ends, cut that bottom one kind of close, and the top one not quite as close. And then I'm gonna try and wrap it down inside there a little bit better, and then push them down. So what that does is it just keeps this piece from moving around. And there you have it. Now, if you want to add the little circles, like, or the little beads inside this middle circle, you can do that. And what I did was I took a piece of my 28 gauge. Sometimes 26 gauge is better because it's not going to, ooh, oh my goodness. It's not going to break. It's a little bit stronger. All right, I'm gonna take these smaller ones. I think these are 3 millimeters. And let me actually first attach this. So I'm gonna attach it to this big one here. And I'm just gonna take this one end of it and wrap it around a few times. Push that through just to secure it. Okay. Pull that through and make them tighter. And then if I have a piece sticking out, which I do, I'm just going to pull on it and trim that off. Okay. But I want that to be up around here in the front. So now you can start adding your beads. And I'm going to add these 3 millimeter beads. 1, 2, 3. Really depends on how much room you have inside here. Do a couple more. Here's one more that size. 4. Okay. And maybe one more. If I can grab one more smaller one without knocking the whole thing over. And I'm going to go ahead and close this so they don't all fly around. And then what I like to do is feed this through to the back. Oops. Pull it out until it's in the kind of the shape that I want. And then I find that it helps to secure it if I come up between a couple of the beads and then feed it through again. Make that straight. Pull it out from the back. Excuse me. And then in the back, I'm just going to do like I did at the beginning and wrap it around a few more times to secure it. Like 1. Through there, 2. And maybe once more. And this hopefully won't show. There we go. And then in the back, we're just going to squeeze those together and trim it off. And there you have it. So I'm going to oxidize this one and polish it. And then I'll be ready to post it on my shop. Thank you all for watching.